Welcome to the Britcar Dunlop Endurance E Series, presented by Brabham Automotive. Coming up, the second race from round 2 here at Silverstone. The racingrigs.co.uk starting grid is based on the results of race 1, so it's Motus One Racing's Will Powell on pole, with ex-Grand Prix racer and current sports car star Jan Magnussen alongside. Visit racingrigs.co.uk for some great deals on professional sim racing equipment. Packed grid of cars then on the grid, ready for race 2 here from the full Grand Prix circuit at Silverstone. To the right of your picture, the pole sitter Will Powell in the orange Brabham BT62 as the red lights go out and we roar into life here on the charge towards Abbey Corner for the first time. It's going to be Powell in the lead. Magnussen tucks in behind for second. A great start from David Brabham. He's moved up to third, ahead of the black and green roll centre BMW of Morgan Short, who slipped back to 4th place as we go into Village Corner for the first time. On the brakes, and Nathan Wells in the white, blue and red BMW has got ahead of Morgan Short as well, I reckon, so up to 4th place. Yeah, Wells 4th. And then the yellow Mercedes of Alex Day sliding up the inside through the loop as well. So Morgan Short's lost another place here, slipping back off the start. Sam Neary's another one that has slipped back slightly off the start as well, from 5th down to 7th, up the Wellington Straight for the first time into Brooklands. It's Powell that leads, Magnussen second, a Brabham BT62 1, 2, 3, because David Brabham moved up to 3rd place off the start. Then Nathan Wells hanging on to them for the time being in 4th. Alex Day in 5th place. Sean Bennett has moved up a position to 6th, and so Morgan Short down to 7th place now. There's Sam Neary in the black Mercedes. He's all the way down to 18th place. Let's get a replay of the start, see if we can spot what happened to Sam. He started 5th in the Team ABBA Mercedes AMG. I think he just struggled off the line. There were no incidents. It was a very clean start, actually. I think the cleanest we've had so far in the E-Series through Abbey Corner. As we rejoin, I'm afraid, in the aftermath of a spin for Chris Clark's BMW on the exit to Copse. He rejoins with no real damage except for the time lost, so he's down to 25th place now, joining just behind James Bentley. Right there we are looking at Steve Burke in 7th place in the Lizard Motorsport yellow and black BMW. There's a bit of a queue forming up here. Sean Bennett is overtaken by Morgan Short on the way into Stowe, so change of position there. He fights him back on the exit to the corner though. They were still side by side as they charge towards this next section at Vale and Club. You're looking at Nathan Wells, who made that excellent start up to 4th place. He's hanging on to the 3 BT62s. In the background it looked like Sean Bennett had held on to his 5th position. Yes, he has. So he's 5th. Steve Burke is in 6th place. Morgan Short, who's been up and down the top 6, is just outside the top 6 at the moment in 7th place. And then you've got Ben Sharridge on the tail of that group in the yellow Glickenhaus, running in 8th place. Charles Rainford 9th is the leader of Class 3. Contact there as Burke goes up the inside of Bennett. Bennett's trying to come back up the inside of him on the way into the loop. There's contact and a spin. They both go off. Through comes Morgan Short, through comes Ben Sharridge. They both gained a couple of places, and hopefully the other two will be able to rejoin. But an incident there at the start of lap 2. Let's get a replay. Burke up the inside of Bennett, went for the gap. There was contact. They both survived this. Then Bennett tries to come back at him, lunges up the inside, halfway alongside, clips the back end of the BMW, and the BT62 is sent around as well, gets a bit of contact on his way through as a result of that as well from Morgan Short and Ben Sharridge, who both overtake the pair of them. So one BT62 in the wars. Sean Bennett, who races from Australia in these live meetings. At about 4 o'clock in the morning he joins in. He's the Director of Operations at Brabham Automotive, and he's got a bit of work to do now from further down the pack. Right, Will Powell leads. Jan Magnussen by 0.3 of a second. David Brabham 3rd. Nathan Wells 4th. Morgan Short 5th. Charles Rainford up to 6th place. Sam Neary has come up to 7th place. He's started to charge back through the pack. Ben Sharridge has dropped behind Sam Neary into 8th position. So the positions he's gained, he's lost one of those now. And Sam Neary, you can see on the graphic on the left of the picture, has gained another one. Ahead of Charles Rainford. He's just going through the shot. Now there's contact as well. Sean Bennett and Ben Sharridge coming together on the way through the Beckett's Esses. So the dark blue BT62 of Bennett rejoins. Ben Sharridge is still off the picture. I think he's just rejoining now in the background. That's Max Coates in the number 99 Seat. Let's get a replay. Up high, the camera shows us that Ben Sharridge just went out wide, went onto the grass, and as he rejoined, he ploughed across the front of Sean Bennett. So it wasn't a racing incident, that. They weren't battling against one another. It was just Ben getting a bit wide, and as he rejoined, the unfortunate Sean Bennett getting clattered as the Glickenhaus came across his bows. Isaac Rain in the other Mac G Racing Glickenhaus has had a good run in the series so far. He's in the top 10 currently here. His best result coming in the first race of the season at Spa, where he finished in 5th place, and that was after an excellent charge up through from the back of the field after a first lap incident. So watching him, he's on the tail of Charles Rainford, the Class 2 leader. Now we go back to Shane Stoney and then James Rainford. So James Rainford in the white and blue Seat, and then the Ginetta in its red, yellow and white livery of Stoney, who's raced very successfully in things like Radicals as a class champion and in the Mini Challenge as well. And the Ginetta GT5 Challenge has gone well in this series, and this is the battle for second in Class 3. So Charles Rainford, who won the first race here at Silverstone in terms of his class by over 30 seconds, is well clear of that group and in 8th place overall. A bit further back down in Class 2, we're watching Sarah Moore in the Top with Motorsports Ginetta, the W Series racer and 2018 Britcar Endurance champion. She's currently 4th in class, with Max Coates just under a second behind her, 5th in class. Then Ben Sharridge, who had that incident at the S's on the previous lap, trying to come back through the field. He's in 16th position. There you can see, just coming into the shot behind the yellow, red and white Stoney Ginetta, is Sean Bennett. So 13th place is where he rejoined, and he's trying to carve his way back through the order. Then the red and white Sarah Moore Ginetta coming through shot, with getting ever closer to her in the mirrors, Max Coates. Right, so Sarah Moore heading on to the Hanger Straight under the bridge, and towards Stowe she goes. The group just behind them features Nicole Drought, who there in the white Ginetta. He's in 23rd place overall, onto the tail of James Little, who's taken over from his son Jake, who drove that car in the first race here at Silverstone. Those two both hoping to drive in the Britcar Endurance Championship when it gets underway this season. It's 3 abreast here because we've got Bobby Trundley in the Seat diving up the inside. Then the Nicole Drought Ginetta slicing through as well to fend off James Little. Terrific little dice going on here. Little trying to find his way up the inside now of the white Ginetta of Nicole Drought, but Nicole closes the door. She's the 2016 class champion in the Irish Touring Car Championship, Nicole, the first ever female to achieve that, and has raced in numerous categories since then, including Global GT Lights and the Irish Striker Championship. Meanwhile, the yellow Seat of Shields Bergstrom is lunging up the inside of James Little on the way into Abbey Corner. He goes a bit deep through the apex, but he gathers it together nicely. So good move that from Bergstrom, who enjoyed his first season of UK race competition in 2019, enjoyed a couple of wins and a couple of additional podiums, the American, and he's very new to sim racing, but doing a good job here. He's already had 1 class podium so far this season in the opener at Spa. Right, looking at David Farrow, who's been another one going well in his category this year. Now he's in the red EDF Motorsports Ginetta, but with Bobby Trundley all over the back of him now as they make their way left, then right through into Luffield now. Having gone through Brooklands, they'll wind it up towards Woodcut Corner. The Sad a little bit on the curbs there, but carrying more speed, I reckon, than the Ginetta. Yes, he draws alongside now to the outside on the curbs again. Bobby Trundley carrying the speed here in the Team Britcar, and he's already through before they get to the braking zone. Terrific bit of driving that. He just laid that out very nicely. He knew exactly what his plan of attack was going to be, and that was a tidy move there to gain a place to 21st overall, trying to get himself into the top 6 in class as we go back to 3rd place overall, Nathan Wells. So Will Powell is leading the race, but look at the graphic. David Brabham 2nd, Nathan Wells 3rd, and suddenly Jan Magnussen has slipped back to 4th place. So a moment somewhere off camera for Magnussen, but he's still not that far back in 4th place as we go back to the battle between Max Coates and Sarah Moore, which is switched around now with Max Coates ahead. So the Seat's ahead. He was closing the gap. He was a few tenths down last time we saw them, but now ahead of Sarah Moore. Nothing much between these two though. Max Coates, who spent 4 very competitive seasons in the Renault UK Clio Cup, culminating in a very close 2nd place finish in the championship in 2019. He's moving into the Toka supporting Mini Challenge for this 2019 season, and the Yorkshireman just ahead of fellow Yorkshire driver Sarah Moore, just edging away as he makes his way onto the Wellington Straight. So those two, 4th and 5th in class, about 5 seconds or so behind Sean Stoney though, who's the last driver on the Class 2 podium as it stands. He's 14th overall. He slipped behind Ben Sharridge, who's slowly making his way back up the order in 13th place. Contact here between the two Seats of Bentley and Trundley. Trundley through, though, on the way to Brooklands. He goes a bit deep into the corner. Bentley comes back at him up the inside. Right-hander coming up through Luffield, but he's on the curbs for Trundley. He'll have the better line, but is he a bit tardy through the apex? Bentley nibbles at the back right corner of Bobby Trundley's Team Brit Seat, but he can't find a way through, so it was all a bit seated the pants. But Bobby Trundley is through, up to 19th place overall, and that will put him 7th in class. And he's starting just to edge away now from the yellow Seat of James Bentley as well. Trundley flying through the field now. He finished 3rd in race 1, so was 3rd on the grid in terms of his class, but obviously had some dramas on the first lap and is now charging his way back through the order. There's James Rainford, currently 2nd in class behind Ben Sharridge. Stoney not that far back in the Ginetta. So only about a second between those two as they go into the braking zone for Vale. Now, this is the battle for 3rd place. Jan Magnussen in the British Racing Green BT62 up the inside through Aintree. Out wide goes the BMW of Nathan Wells, and that should gift the place to the Dane. Yes, it does. So Magnussen through on the brakes. He's got it all covered already as they go into the left-hander at Brooklands. But he's now 11 seconds down on David Brabham in 2nd place. Remember, we didn't see what happened to Jan, but he was running in 2nd place early doors in this race, then suddenly slipped back to 4th and lost quite a bit of time. So he's 3rd now. Nathan Wells has got to keep an eye on the mirrors as well, because Morgan Short in the Roll Centre BMW is getting ever bigger in the mirrors as they come up towards the braking zone for Copse. Then it's Sam Neary, who had a bad first lap but has come back to 6th place now in the Team ABBA Mercedes, the black Mercedes, in 6th place, about 4.5 seconds behind them. Short now having a look at the inside of Wells on the way to the Beckett's S's. That would have been brave, taking some curb here through the right, through the left, through the second right they'll go. No chance to come through here as we get a replay of this move. So Magnussen showed his nose on the way into Aintree, took a very tight line. Out wide went the BMW, and the BT62 really had got the job done before they came onto the Wellington Straight. So back live with Nathan Wells 4th, 0.3 of a second behind him is Morgan Short. Magnussen already starting to get away from them now, the ex-Grand Prix racer and multiple class winner at Le Mans, trying to catch David Brabham, and then Nathan Wells has to let Morgan Short through. Now, was that an instruction for something that happened earlier? And he's let Morgan through, possibly it was, the way he slowed down there. So down to 5th place now for Nathan Wells, and 6th place is Sam Neary, quite a bit closer to him now. So yeah, the way that Nathan Wells has dropped back at the end of the lap suggests he's had to take a slight time penalty there to avoid getting an even bigger penalty, and therefore he'll now be free to try and get his head down and try and close that gap back up out through the loop they come. As we go now back to this battle between the Ginetta of Stoney and the Seat of Rainford, and then the other way around this time. So Stoney has gained the place. He was about 7/8 of a second behind last time we saw them on the previous lap. He's now ahead of the Seat, so that puts Shane up to 2nd place. He's a bit deep on the exit to Abbey though, and through Farm Curve the Seat is going to be all over the back of him, but the inside line will belong to Shane Stoney on the way into Village. He covers it off. That's a really good bit of defensive driving, and Stoney in the number 89 Ginetta will hang on to 13th place, but more importantly he'll hang on to 2nd place in the category for the time being. One Rainford 3rd, the other, Charles, well up the road in 11th place overall, just outside the top 10. And now we've got James Rainford trying to come back again around the outside of Stoney. Locks up there as he breaks super late on the way into the left-hander at Brooklands. But Shane Stoney just putting the car in exactly the right place here and giving no opportunities for Rainford to come through and gain a place. In the background on the graphic, we can see Alex Day has just moved up to 16th place ahead of Sarah Moore. Day made a good start to the race, didn't he? Up to 5th place at one point on lap 1, but tumbled down the order fairly early on, unseen, and is now trying to get back up through the pack. So 16th place for him, and he split that battle between Max Coates and Sarah Moore. So we go back to 6th place now. This is Sam Neary, who is 2nd or so behind Nathan Wells, so he's closing the gap. It's not his best lap, Sam Neary, but he's a bit quicker than Nathan Wells as they go through the left-hander at Farm. They're going to be coming up to traffic as well, this lead group, fairly shortly. Keeping an eye on the gap between 1st and 2nd. Will Powell and David Brabham on the graphic, just under 3 seconds currently. Right back to the battle between James Rainford and Shane Stoney on the brakes on the way into the left-hander at Vale. Again, a bit of a lock-up for the Seat as he aims for the target ahead of him, but Shane Stoney, the 25-year-old from Pontefract, the current Radical SR1 Cup champion, knows exactly where to put the car. Somebody with not many years to his age, but a great deal of experience already, having come up through things like Ginetta Juniors. He actually raced with Sarah Moore's team, the Moore family-run team, Tockwood Motorsports, when he was a Ginetta Junior, and as a youngster he also was very successful in the Sax Max Championship, becoming the champion of that in 2011. Mini Challenge and Ginetta and Radical success since then. So good battle for second in class 2. And this battle now is becoming very real between Nathan Wells and Sam Neary for 5th place overall. Neary has caught the BMW ahead, the Mercedes charging through. Sam Neary has already been on the podium twice in the E Series so far. 3rd in race 1 at Spa, 2nd in race 2 at Spa, and 5th in race 1 here at Silverstone. He had a bad start to the race, but he's very, very quick now. The 18-year-old on the brakes onto the case of Nathan Wells, but Nathan sits tight on the way through Stowe. We're going to get a replay now of this part of this battle that's been going on between Shane Stoney and James Rainford, and this is just showing the perfect positioning of the Ginetta in terms of good defensive driving there on the way into Brooklands. Now Sam Neary gets a better exit coming through Club Curve and gets his nose in front coming onto the international pit straight. The Mercedes goes through up to 5th place. Nathan Wells, who was 4th a couple of laps ago, now finds himself down in 6th place, but a long way clear of Steve Burke, who's in 7th. Andrew Tucker, who had a very eventful first race here at Silverstone, is having a slightly calmer time of it in 8th place. Isaac Rain going well again in 9th, and coming back through the order is Bennett in 10th position. Charles Rainford 11th, still the leader of Class 3. Coming through the traffic then, Sam Neary just starting to creep away now from Nathan Wells. Half a second or so clear as they go on to the Wellington Straight. How far is he behind Morgan Short? About 3 seconds is the answer, but we've still got just under 13 minutes of the race left to run. Right, we're looking now at the blue Praga R1 of Alistair Bolton, and that is closing in on Shields Bergstrom for 22nd position, 0.6 of a second between them. So Alistair Bolton, who raced for the BR Motorsport team, which had more wins than anybody else, more overall wins than anybody else in the Britcar Endurance Championship 2019. Just gets it a bit wrong there though on the way into Vale. Locks up, brakes too deep, bit tardy on the exit as well, and all that good work undone. He's suddenly now 2.3 seconds down on Shields Bergstrom. We return to the battle for second in Class 2 between Shane Stoney and the white and blue Seat of James Rainford. The gap slightly opening up now, being gobbled up, the pair of them, by the Class 1 Mercedes of Alex Day as well. Now this is the race leader in the orange Brabham BT62, Will Powell. The blue and yellow BT62 coming through the traffic is David Brabham in 2nd place, and he's got the gap down to just about 2.5 seconds now, and that's been coming down for a couple of laps now, so there is still a chance that we could have a grandstand finish for the lead of the race. Those two, if you saw race 1 here at Silverstone, came together fairly early on in race 1 when they were battling for the lead at Cops Corner. Will Powell dived at the inside of David Brabham. There was a coming together. Brabham was sent out wide and dropped down to 5th place at one stage. Will Powell going on to take his 2nd victory in 3 races. Isaac Rain in 8th place, coming through the traffic. That's Alan Remias in the GF Williams Lotus, but he can't get through there. There's a bit of contact, and Andrew Tucker in the Team Brit Mercedes will probably pounce and gain a position as a result of that. Yet the graphic on the left shows that he got through. So Isaac Rain a little bit unfortunate there, coming through the traffic. We go back to the Seat of Max Coates, 4th in Class 2. And having, I think, his best run so far in the Britcar Dunlop Endurance E Series presented by Brabham Automotive. He's got a long way down on James Rainford, but he's now 2.3 seconds clear of Sarah Moore. Sarah's got to keep an eye on Graham Roberts in the mirrors as well, because Graham's just set a personal best lap. Brake discs glowing on the BT62 of David Brabham, ex-Grand Prix racer, former Le Mans winner, now 2 seconds down on Will Powell, and Will's got a bit of traffic as well. It's James Little's Ginetta just ahead of him. Ginetta driven by Jake Little in race 1, coming through from the back of the pack after troubles on lap 1 to finish in excellent 4th in class. James Little lapped on the way into Abbey Corner, gets well out of the way of the race leader. The gap down to just about 1.5 seconds now, so he gained over a second on that lap. Isaac Rain flashing his lights on Andrew Tucker here, having lost that position with a misunderstanding through the traffic. Isaac now determined to come back through. He's a race day volunteer for MacG Racing, Johnny McGregor's race-winning squad in the Britcar Dunlop Endurance Championship, and has been going well, as I said, in these E-Series races. Gets a little bit twitchy though coming out of club, goes wide, loses the front end and loses traction and momentum coming onto the international pit straight. So you'll have to gather that all back together on the next lap to try and catch up to Andrew Tucker, and in the end he's a couple of seconds slower on that lap with everything that went on. So a frustrating lap for him. This is Morgan Short in 4th place. Morgan, who led the very first weekend, his very first attempt at racing in this category in the Spa event, led until his connection dropped out, but he had a good 3rd place finish in race 1 here at Silverstone. We saw him drop back on lap 1, but he's got himself back into 4th position. He's only 1.6 seconds away from Jan Magnussen as well, so a 2nd podium of the weekend could still be a possibility here. He can see Jan now, who's got some traffic to deal with. So too is Morgan Short. He's coming up to lap Alistair Bolton's Praga R1. Here's the overhead shot coming into the S's. The dark green Brabham BT62 gets through more traffic, has a clearer run then coming onto Chapel and onto the Hanger Straight. Morgan Short might just have to hang off the throttle momentarily. And also Sam Neary in the Abbott Mercedes is catching up as well. So this is all bunching up nicely, 3rd, 4th and 5th, getting very close together as we head into the final 7 3/4 minutes of the race. Magnussen through Stowe. There is the green and black Roll Centre Racing Morgan Short car in 4th place. Just over 1 second behind now is Sam Neary, who probably had the best run through the traffic there and has got the bit between his teeth. And these two have been running closely together in the race at various junctures already. So it'd be interesting to watch them come together again, these two young drivers. It'd be nice to watch them racing against each other in real life as well fairly shortly, we hope. Two very promising young drivers, both sons of very accomplished GT racers. Right, the gap is 1.1 seconds now between Will Powell and David Brabham, with 7 minutes of the race remaining, and Jan Magnussen is only 0.8 of a second clear of Morgan Short, and then Sam Neary in 5th place. So 3rd, 4th, 5th coming up to Wellington Straight. There is the 5th place car of Neary. Into Brooklands they go. They're not quite close enough to fight each other yet, but the gaps are all coming down here, and this is shaping up beautifully for the end of the race. Nathan Wells is 7 seconds back in 6th place, but if these three start battling, you never know, he might be able to get involved as well. Steve Burke, it says on the graphic, has gone into the pits, I'm afraid. He was running in the top 10. So Andrew Tucker 7th, Isaac Rain 8th, Sean Bennett's 9th, and Class 2 leader Charles Rainford now up into a top 10 position. Alex Day's just gone into 11th place as well, and Ben Sharridge 12th, both of those two having offs early on in the race. As the battle for 4th comes into the Beckett's S's, and the Mercedes is ahead of the BMW. So Neary, who was behind Morgan Short going through Copse Corner, arrives at the S's ahead of him. But he's got the BMW all over the back of him as he comes out through Chapel Curve, and Morgan Short gets the place back. Terrific stuff. There's traffic coming up. Jan Magnussen slicing his way through that now, and Morgan Short's got to sit tight on the inside line here, otherwise Neary's going to have a go back at him on the exit to the turn. He's getting close as they come up towards this traffic, and the left-hander at Vale. Neary looks up the inside here on the brakes. He goes down the inside of Morgan Short. Only hits the side of Nicole Trout, who's sent off into the gravel trap. Neary keeps going, and he's still ahead of Morgan Short, and that is really, really unfortunate for Nicole Trout there. Neary concentrating on overtaking Morgan Short. Here's the replay, but he couldn't slow the car down enough to avoid running into the car ahead. Nicole Trout, who had no idea he was coming because he was so far back, and she is the victim in all of that and gets sent into the gravel trap. Real shame for Nicole. It looks like Sam Neary has been able to continue without losing any real time other than to Jan Magnussen, because he's still a length ahead of Morgan Short. This has all helped Jan Magnussen to look a bit more secure in this final podium position, and it could well be a Brabham BT62 1, 2, 3 as it stands, although in which order we don't know, because look at the gap between 1st and 2nd. It's just about half a second now as they come out of Copse Corner. Here's the overhead view as they come into the Beckett's S's. The orange BT62 of Will Powell still ahead. He's had 2 wins on the trot, 1 in race 2 at Spa, 1 in race 1 here at Silverstone. He's looking for his hat-trick. The worst result he's had so far has been a 2nd place finish in the season opener at Spa. David Brabham won that one, won the inaugural E Series events, but he wants to take a race victory here. And remember, as I said, these two are coming together in race one here at Silverstone. David Brabham lapped it off. Will Powell went for a gap. It wasn't quite there. Still good friends, real-life teammates, these two. But the Motorsport driver just ahead at the moment. Through the last sector, he actually pulled back away by about 1 or 2 tenths of a second, and he's pulled another couple of tenths towards the end of the lap as well. So the gap yo-yoing, but generally, as you can see, it's coming down, and 3.5 minutes to go. David Brabham is now within striking distance of the race leader. They come thundering through Abbey Corner into the flat-out left-hander at Farm Curve and down towards Village Corner. Hard on the brakes it will be here through the right-hander. And this infield section, Brabham closes right up, and Will Powell was a bit tardy on the brakes there. Locked it up, I think, and there's contact between them coming out through the loop towards Aintree. Brabham has got the inside line here. He's going to take to the curbs, out wide on the outside curbs, and maybe losing the lead of the race here is Powell. Yes, he lost it. He's lost the lead of the race. Brabham has gone through, and that was all as a result of that move at Village, in which David Brabham was better on the brakes. Will Powell got it slightly wrong, and the 0.7 of a second gap suddenly became nothing. Brabham took one chance, he had one chance, and he grabbed it with both hands. He's your new race leader as they head towards Woodcut Corner, but these two are pretty evenly matched, it has to be said, and Will Powell will still have time for a comeback here if he can just get his rhythm back. He looks like he's doing that as they go to Copse Corner, and the gap's down to 0.4 of a second. There will be some more traffic between now and the end of the race as well, but for now it's a clear run on the way into the Beckett's S's. Brabham just ahead of Powell, going right, then left, then right, and left again through Chapel onto the long hanger straight and down towards Stowe. So critical to get a good run through here. This is Chapel Curve. There goes Brabham, there goes Powell, and he's within striking distance. He should be able to pick up a toe here on the BT62 that's ahead of him. Brabham knows what's coming, so he hogs the inside line on the way into the braking zone through Stowe. Will Powell is trying the outside line here, almost impossible, but he's giving it a real go here. He's got alongside, he's got his nose in front, but Brabham just squeezes him onto the curbs. Powell, though, is still hanging on, and he's going to have the inside line for the left-hander at Vale, and Powell is going to go back through into the lead of the race. Terrific battle between these two. Virtually a whole lap they've been running either side by side or nose to tail. Terrific stuff, but Powell back in front. You're looking at Jan Magnussen now, 18 seconds down the road. However, he looks like it's going to make it a Brabham BT62 1, 2, 3. Or is he? Because Sam Neary is getting very close in the mirrors. We'll have a replay now of this move from Will Powell, carrying the momentum beautifully around the outside. Brabham tried to squeeze him. He forced Powell onto the curves, but Powell kept his foot buried, knew he'd have the better line for the left-hander coming up, and that was terrific racing from both of them. Powell back in front as we go into the dying moments. We're into the final minute of the race now, and this is for the final podium position. Sam Neary getting very close there to the side of Jan Magnussen, and goes into the back of him on the way into the loop. There's contact. Magnussen's sent around. Neary is delayed. Morgan Short comes through. Magnussen's going to lose at least 2 places. He thumps over the curbs, and then Morgan Short now pulling alongside Sam Neary. There's contact between them as well. Neary sent into the barriers. Morgan Short, headlights flashing, has got through. Whoa, what's all kicking off here? Here's a replay. So through Village, defensive driving from Magnussen, and then a lunge from Neary on the way into the loop. He was never alongside. He went into the back of the BT62. He's delayed. Morgan Short in the black and green BMW gets 4th, gets the much better run to the Wellington Straight, draws alongside, and then Neary, I don't know if he saw him coming or not, but there was contact between them, and Neary, I'm afraid, ends up in the barriers, and his race has suddenly gone very pear-shaped. So Will Powell leading, and with 1, 2, 3 cars in between him as he goes into Stowe for the final time, and David Brabham. So that has worked out nicely for him. It's not going to be the grandstand finish that David Brabham would have hoped for. He's got too much traffic in the way, and this means that Will Powell is going to take his 3rd win on the trot. He comes through the left-hander at Vale. He goes through the right at the final corner at Club. He can see the checkered flag almost now. He sprints out of the final turn, and Will Powell wins the 4th race of the Britcar Dunlop Endurance E Series, presented by Brabham Automotive. David Brabham 2nd, and Morgan Short is going to pick up maybe a slightly unexpected 3rd place, because he was 5th 60 seconds ago. He's going to be third now, and that's going to be Morgan's second podium finish here at Silverstone. He comes out of the final corner to take the final spot on the podium for Roll Centre Racing, and a very good drive by him after a little bit of a downer on the first lap of the race. He kept his cool and came back well. Nathan Wells should take fourth place. Jan Magnussen slipped back to fifth in the end. Andrew Tucker 6th, Isaac Rains 7th. Sean Bennett's coming back to 8th place, and this is 9th place. And again, absolutely dominating here at Silverstone, Charles Rainford. Bit wide there on the exit to Stowe, but it doesn't matter, he's so far clear. Shane Stoney is going to take second in the class. James Rainford will take third. But another fantastic drive as he goes through the final corner to your Class 2 winner here at Silverstone, Charles Rainford. Here's confirmation of the results, with Class 2 winner Charles Rainford promoted to 8th place overall after Sean Bennett's received a post-race penalty for the early contact with Steve Burke. There was also a 30-second penalty for Ben Sharridge, while Sam Neary was disqualified for his involvement in various incidents and has to miss the next race. Round 3 of the Britcar Dunlop Endurance E Series, presented by Brabham Automotive, comes from the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. We'll see you then.